So 9.3 is on using trig to solve right triangles. And so today we're going to focus on just solving for a side. And our steps are one, to identify the sides in the relation, which means we're going to label. So that sentence just means we're going to label our hypotenuse, our opposite, and our adjacent based off the angle that we're using. All right. And then we're going to choose the correct function. And so to choose the correct function, we want to notice which one of these helps. Is it going to be sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse? Is it going to be cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse? Or is it going to be tangent, which is opposite over adjacent? And then once we know that, we're going to set up our equation and we're going to solve for the missing piece. All right. And notice in the instructions that it tells us that we're going to round to the nearest tenth, that we need to write an equation. So I want to see your equation, and I don't want to just see an answer. Okay. I want to see the equation that you're using, because then it helps me see why you're getting it right or wrong. All right. And then we're going to find the measure of each side indicated. For right now, for today, we are focusing on just solving for one side. Eventually, you should be able to solve for any side in a triangle or all of the sides in a triangle based off what you're given. So again, our step one is to label your triangle. So as I look at my triangle, I know that 7 is my hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. I'm given angle B, which means I know that the side across from it is opposite, which makes my other side be adjacent. So my first step is to label. My second step is to figure out which trig function to use. And the way I'm going to determine that is I look to see where I have a value, whether that's a number or a letter. So I have a value for the opposite side and I have a value for the hypotenuse side. And so now when I think about it, I've got O and H. So O and H is sine. So I'm going to set up my equation as sine of 54.7 is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And now we're going to solve for x. And so we want to get x all alone. And so x is up here being divided by 7. So to undo division, we multiply by the denominator or multiply by 7. That makes this go away. And then in our calculator, we're just going to multiply these two values together. And so in my calculator, let me get that out of here. Second quit. All right, so in my calculator, I'm just going to multiply the numbers 7 times sine of my angle measure, which was 54.7. And when I multiply that, I get my answer, and I'm rounding it to the tenths place. So I look at the 1, and the 1 tells me the 7 is going to stay where it is. So I'm at 5.7. So my measure is 5.7. And this is my answer. So when I look at example 2, my first step is the same. I label my triangle. So across from the right angle is hypotenuse. Here's my angle measure. Across from it is opposite, which makes the other side be adjacent. So I label my triangle, and now I'm going to look to see which pieces I have a value in, whether that's a letter or a number. So I have a value in hypotenuse, and I have a value in adjacent. And so now I'm going to set up my equation. Notice that I have adjacent and hypotenuse, which is cosine. And so we're going to go cosine of 60 degrees is equal to adjacent, which is 5, over hypotenuse, which is x. And so I'm trying to get x all alone, but in this one, notice that you've got an issue that x is on the denominator. So I'm going to multiply both sides by x to get x up top. This goes away. And so we're left with x times cosine of 60 is equal to 5. And now I want to have cosine by itself. I want x by itself. So I'm going to have to get rid of cosine of 60. And it's connected through multiply. So we do the opposite, which is divide. And we're going to do that to both sides. This goes away and leaves us an x. And then on our calculator, we take our calculator and we're just going to go 5 divided by cosine of 60. Close our parentheses, and we get 10. So my solution is 10 for that one. And because that came out nice and clean, I don't have to worry about trying to round it all. It's just a nice clean answer. So when we look at example 3 and 4, notice that you don't have a triangle drawn, which means you have to do that. So you're going to do that extra step of drawing a triangle. So you can draw your right triangle however you want to. The key to when we're drawing our triangle is paying attention to the labeling. So our right angle is always C, and then the A and B go in the other corners or whatever the letters they're using. In our case, we're using angle B. And so we're going to say one is angle A and one is angle B. And then something else to keep in mind is across from it is the little letter. So this is C, this is A, because it's across from angle A, and this side is little b. And so the reason I talk about that is just so that you understand like why I'm labeling each side, whatever I'm labeling it. So in this case, I said, or it tells me that C is equal to 4, which is the side opposite the right angle, which is also our hypotenuse. It tells us that angle B is 44. So this little angle right here is 44, which makes the side across from it our opposite. And that makes this side our adjacent. We also have one other piece of information, which is what letter I'm looking for. So I'm solving for B. So the B side is like our X. This is the side that I don't know. So I have a value in the opposite and a value in the hypotenuse, and that helps me know which trig function to use. So because I'm using opposite and hypotenuse, then I'm going to do sine. So I have sine of 44 is going to equal x over 4. And then again, we're going to use that to solve. So to get rid of dividing by 4, we times both sides by 4. This goes away. And then in our calculator, we're going to put this into our calculator. So we're going to go 4 times sine of 44. Close our parentheses. And then we're looking at the hundredths place, which is a 7. And the 7 is going to bump the first 7 up to an 8. So our answer is going to be 2.8. And then our last problem is, again, we're going to draw our triangle. And you guys, again, can draw your triangle however you want. If you want to be unique and draw it upside down this time, you can. It doesn't matter. All right, so this is angle C. And then we have angle A and angle B. And again, it doesn't matter which one you label. That's just the way I'm labeling it. So a couple of things we're given. We're given that the side B is 4. So that's across from big B. So this is little b and it's equal to 4. And we're also given angle B, which is 22. And because of that, we know this is our opposite because it's across. And it wants us to find A. And A is going to be across from big A, and this is little c. So we know that this is our hypotenuse, which makes this side be our adjacent. And if we're looking for side A, this is also our X piece. We don't know this side. All right, so I guess we could just write A is equal to X. All right, so now as we look at it, we have value in which two pieces. So we have value in the opposite side and we have value in the adjacent side. And so opposite and adjacent is tangent. So we're going to go tangent of 22 is equal to opposite, which is 4, over adjacent, which is x. And now we're going to solve that equation. So how do we get rid of dividing by x? We're going to times by x. And we have to do that because in order to solve for x, x needs to be in the numerator or up top. So that goes away. And so we're left with x times tangent of 22 is equal to 4. And now we're trying to get the xl alone. So we're going to divide both sides by tangent of 22. And so we get x is equal to 4 divided by tangent of 22. And again, we look at our hundredths place, which is 0, which means our 9 is going to stay where it is, and we get 9.9. As you're working on these, if you're not getting the same answers, Remember that we talked about how you need to check your mode. Make sure your mode is in degree mode because we're talking about 22 degrees, 42, 44 degrees. If you don't have it in the right mode, your answers are going to be all off. So just always double check before you start any of your assignment. Double check that your calculator is in the right mode. All right, if you have any questions, let me know. Thank you.